Will the Fed announce a pause in rate hikes? That's a big question on the minds of a lot of investors and the markets right now. And if we think back to March, when we saw Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank of New York fail, really ever since that time, markets have taken that additional headwind to really validate this Fed script that markets have come up with. And that Fed script looks a little something like this. The Fed is going to hike rates by 25 basis points in May, but will announce a pause in those rate hikes. Then in late summer, as growth begins to slow and inflation rises, the Fed is going to announce a pivot to a less hawkish policy and also announce some rate cuts. And I think that script right there has really allowed markets and a lot of investors to look past the economic data and earnings guidance that is sending a lot of mixed messages right now as to whether or not the economy is heading towards a soft landing or a hard landing. And so I think if we look at that and we say, okay, hopefully we head towards a soft landing, if that does occur, if we see the Fed announce it's going to pause rate hikes and eventually start to cut rates in the fourth quarter, then I think it's fair to assume we continue to see this rally. And I think a lot of the prices at this level within stock markets are justified if that occurs. On the other hand, because we're getting these mixed signals, if the Fed does not announce it's going to pause during its May meeting, then I think that is extremely disappointing to markets. And I think it's reasonable to expect we would see a pretty volatile downturn in markets to the tune of possibly even a 5 or 10% drawback. So I think it's important to recognize where we are. But again, the economic data, the earnings guidance that is coming out is a lot of mixed signals. And so I'm not so convinced that we need to stick to this script that a lot of investors and the markets are sticking to. And so I think it bears repeating. Stay cautiously optimistic, stay aware, take ownership of the risks that you're taking against, everything else that you're doing, and really just better understand your wealth planning, your wealth building picture, and how that all relates to the risks that you are taking. Questions, comments, please drop them below.